I've been fooled. They asked me to come here, but I was fooled. I was tricked. We've already talked about trends. I'm not going to bore you with the four V's because everyone talks about this. I'm not going to do it as well. I'm going to ask you to listen to me talk about those data that you generate with your apps and your Fitbit. You've already talked about that on your cell phone, on your tip recommendation engine, whatever you use on your social networks. I'm going to ask you, because there are 300 people. Just allow me to use those data for 5 minutes, and I'll show you what all of those data do together and what they tell us about our society. Let's begin. Let's zoom in. Let's zoom in Spain. I'm going to start by doing the zoom in 40 million inhabitants. And we're going to only focus on one person, and we'll see how that person moves along 2 different periods of her life. To the left, you have the geolocalization of that person in green. These are geolocalized tweets. And after something happens to this person, you will see his or her movements to the right. So if you're worried, don't worry. We have used those data that are not real. They're actually in the middle of Castilla-La Mancha. There's nothing there. Don't worry. I just wanted to see an important change going on in the life of this person. This was someone who moved a lot before something that happened to her or to him, and then he or she stopped moving. Well, these are 6 months before, 6 months after something happened to this person. And this situation that changed her life is that he or she is unemployed. I don't know if you've listened to this talk previously, but I always ask when he or she is working and when he or she is unemployed. Don't answer the question, because she or he is working. Here, she's working, she's moving much more than she does when she's unemployed. And this is something that people already know. When people are unemployed, they have less geographical mobility. And it is a problem, actually, because geographical mobility helps you find a new job. So not only the data in this case are useful, because these are geolocalized data to tell you where you are, but we can actually build a story for this person because her personal story has changed. Not just the way he or she moves, but also when he or she tweets. Here you can see the same situation. On the right, it's someone who's working, and here it's someone who's unemployed. And as you can see, and we would have to think on it, but we tweet while at work. We tweet a lot while we're working, most of us. But when we're unemployed, we stop tweeting. What happens is that we usually tweet in the afternoon when we can interact with people, because most probably they're working. Those people are working. So these are your data. So what can I do with this data? What can I build? I can build an unemployment model. If I know how you move, if you know how you interact with the platform, and I know when you connect to it, then I can create a very simple model that will consist on the following. I take all of this data, I build a model, which is what we need, people who deal with this, and I create a model, and then this model has a 60% accuracy. And I'm bipolar, I am a researcher, I work in university. I am a data-centric person, but I also work with some private company, and then I'm a researcher. 60% accuracy, that's amazing. Then since I'm data-centric, I'm not happy because it's 40% inaccuracy. And then as a project manager, I say, no, this cannot be good enough. We need to have a higher degree of prediction. So we have to be a bit more philosophical about this. But who tells us we're failing? Who tells us that we're actually failing? The official figures of unemployment tell me that, but am I really failing? So what we did was the following. It was a very nice exercise. I'm comparing what I say that is happening in a province with the official data of the province. Well, my model gets it wrong when there is black economy, when there is underground economy, because I'm based on human economy and not with regards to what people say in the unemployment office. And this is what we're trying to do now. We're trying to detect underground economy according to the data that we collect from people. Let's zoom in once again. We're going to zoom in, but this is a bigger zoom. This is 88,000 people. This is the 8,000, sorry. This is the number of municipalities in Spain. Let's see Madrid. A city for us. Thank you for those extra minutes. I'm going to now show you all of the videos that I had prepared for this. What is a city for you? Well, If you go to the dictionary, you'll see that it is a place where there is high density with many streets that are some next to the others. But that, to me, is not a city. For me, a city is a place that we share. It is a place where I can find and meet other people. So let's make an exercise and see if really our city is, or at least the one, Madrid, is a city that we share. And what we see, here you see it, is these are geolocalized data. We have 20,000 people moving around Madrid every morning at 7 a.m. Here you'll see what we all know happens. All the arteries of Madrid are collapsed, and here you have it. And what I want to see is if what you think is a city, and I actually like this, which are common places that we all share, really happens. Well, it's not true. It's not true. In Madrid, for instance, here you see how the richest people move in green and how the poorest people move in Madrid, and they're red. We don't really share spaces. We don't share spaces in Madrid. As a matter of fact, there is much inequality in mobility in Madrid. And which do you think are those places that are the ones that are shared by different people? I don't know if you've ever done that exercise. I couldn't think of the Gran Via or the Vicente Calderón, the Bernabeu, different football stadiums. Unfortunately, there are just a few places in Madrid where we share our space, where we share the space of the city with people who are heterogeneous people. It's usually hospitals. In hospitals, there is much diversity, social diversity, bus stations, train stations. Atocha, for instance, is one of those places where there is diversity. And then public places such as La Casa de Campo. But in the rest of places, we're very segregated. So what do? We have to measure it, and we have to create places for us to share so that we can share spaces. We have to create cities. Which are the best cities? Well, the ones where we share the space. And now let me zoom in one. With all of this data that you have given me for 5 minutes, we have more minutes. So I'm going to see the whole society in Spain. And what I'm going to try and do is see how the society moves around during one day. This is just 100,000 people. These are Twitter users who move around 2 places in Spain during the same day. So as you can see, these are typical movements in between Madrid and Barcelona. This is Andalusia. You see the corridor between Seville, Madrid, Granada, and Malaga. And with this, I will answer a very simple question. What is a province to you? What is a province to you? Well, it's an administrative unit, and it has a town hall where you pay your taxes. But really, do we really live in a province? In our day-to-day, do we live in a province? Do we organize ourselves around a province or around a town hall? And the answer is no. Here you have that flow of people. What I have done here is focus on all the people who move around Spain, and now I have fixed it on a static image. And here we see how many people go from Madrid to Barcelona, how many people go from Coruña to Santiago. And the question is, what are the areas where we most probably move? So if we move around Madrid, which are the areas where we will be? Are there provinces, municipalities? No. Spain is not organized that way in provinces or town halls. For instance, here I show to you the places that most people go through on a daily basis in Galicia, and there are 4 provinces in Galicia. I think there's 20 internal regions in Galicia. These are areas that people move around that are different to administrative units. So we'll have to rethink administrative units if people move around in a different way. Okay, so I'm going to end by recommending a report, a United Nations report that I recommend that you read. And we are going through an exceptional time. We live in a world where we all have some sort of digital trace of what we do. And this, what I'm saying about unemployment maybe is useless here in Spain, because there are institutions, very good institutions, such as CEPE, such as INE, where there are active population surveys which will provide us with data that are very accurate. But this, which for us in the first world might be a beautiful exercise, in the third world, it's the only thing that they have. It's the only thing that they have. The only way of doing a census in a country in Africa, in sub-Saharan Africa, would be by using phone calls. They know how many people live in an area thanks to phone calls that are being made in an area. So we need to make or draw a world that actually counts. I was actually going to tell us a joke. The Dracula. It's the Count Dracula was a count that counted because he liked to count. So now we need to make it count. In the third world, we need to be able to do a census, and we need for this world to count. We need to make it count. We need to count ourselves. We need to measure things that are happening around us. And although there is some time left, I threatened with some formulas, I am not going to actually do it. Thank you very much, Chema. It was a